Oh, well, hello. And it's been really long that I embraced my own YouTube channel. And well, here I am. I'm hoping that there's going to be a short and sweet problem. So, this is one of the problems which I've taken up from RMO, Regional Mathematical Olympiad, which was concluded on last Sunday. And I believe that compared to 2019 RMO, this RMO was fairly, I wouldn't say easy, but comparatively, I'd like to believe that the difficulty level of this RMO wouldn't measure up with the difficulty level of 2019. Now, having said that, my feelings don't align with the feelings of those who have undertaken this examination, and it's entirely possible because I was not operating under those examination circumstances. So it's entirely possible that people might have found this examination to be difficult, which I rather didn't. And might I add that I'm comparing this examination to the examination that was held in 2019, which I thought was a really difficult one. But never mind. And that was the last time that it was held. Well, here is a rather delightful problem which I've taken up, and perhaps the crown jewel of the paper. And the problem comes from geometry. So I was particularly very excited to be able to solve it. And it's sort of intuitive, and probably the only reason why I was able to solve it, because I'm fairly sometimes convinced that if you really ask a problem of geometry, which will be predicated upon ideas which will be intricate, so well, it might be difficult for me to wade through the problem. This was a geometry problem, and beautiful one at that. And I was able to solve it without breaking a sweat. And it is, in fact, a beautiful problem, I believe. And the other five problems weren't, in fact, I intend to take up. And in fact, I believe that uh, I have, I rather would not like to sound pompous, but I believe that I have come to a stage where I can sort of identify the motivation of the paper setter behind framing a certain problem, or where a certain problem is coming. And might I add that I have sort of joined those group of loony professors who are not very enthusiastic about recreational mathematics and such examinations. But anyway, so let's take up this problem. And since geometry is kind of new to me, so I absolutely enjoyed solving this one. So it says that there is a semicircle with AB as a bounding diameter. So, well, semicircles are difficult to make, so I'd rather make a circle and make a diameter AB. And let CD be a variable chord of constant length. CD is a variable chord of constant length. CD is of constant length. So, okay, CD lies in the interior of the arc as we have drawn. And let E be a point on the diameter AB such that CE and DE are equally inclined to AB. Okay, so, well, there is somewhere sort of a point somewhere here, and that somewhere here maybe, that these two lines CE and DE are equally inclined to the line AB. So these two angles must be equal. Well, you have to prove that the measure of angle CD is constant. The measure of angle CED, this angle must be constant. That's something that you have to prove. And the circumcircle of CD passes through a fixed point. So the circumcircle of CED will pass through a fixed point, something like that. Okay. So, well, first of all, I'm going to identify the fixed point. In fact, I'm just going to argue. I'm just going to argue for B, and the essential part of this problem is this, that I just argued for B, and that gave me A, and that was, if you call it serendipitous, but I believe methodical in this case. So come to think of it, is somewhere a point where these two angles being equal, we have to prove this angle is fixed, and the circumcircle of this CD passes through a fixed point, right? So the question which I'm going to ask myself is that, do we even know a fixed point, right? So I know one such fixed point, and that's the center of the circle. Call it as O. Now, I'm hoping, and that's my hope, that the required circle, the circumcircle of triangle CD will pass through the point O. That's what I'm hoping for. I know that's too much to hope for, but bear with me. Let me make a circumcircle. And yeah, more or less. So this is my point E, that's what I'm saying. And so come to think of it, if this is indeed true, then, well, CD being a chord of constant length will subtend a fixed angle at center, right? And by the fact that angles in the same segment are equal, this angle must be equal to this angle, and part A would be done, if this is true. Wouldn't you agree, right? So the only thing which remains to be proved is that, well, if that's indeed the case, then this angle must be equal to this angle. That's the only thing that we need to prove. Wouldn't you agree, right? So, well, let's come to think of it. So, well, if you think of it, so this angle is theta. So this angle is again theta, and theta is constant for obvious reasons that CD is constant. Now, come to think of it, regarding this angle is an exterior angle of this triangle. So this angle will be equal to this angle plus that angle. So this angle is simply this angle, required angle, color is x. And so this angle is equal to x plus theta, and x plus theta is equal to this angle plus that angle. Wouldn't you agree? Right? And that's because this angle is x plus theta, and x plus theta is equal to sum of these two angles, this angle and that angle. So x plus theta is equal to this plus that plus that. You can remove theta here. So you get this angle is sum of these two angles, right? Now, somehow I have to prove that. So I have to prove that this angle is also, in fact, the sum of these two angles. Right? But now we realize that, well, this angle is in fact equal to this angle, well, angle in the same segment. I'm hoping that you'll agree to this, of course. Well, now that this is done, and now that we have to prove that, well, this angle is equal to this angle plus that angle, right? In other words, this angle is equal to this angle plus that angle. In other words, this angle is equal to that angle. That's something that we have to prove, right? Okay. Now, come to think of it, that since this is radius, so these angles must be equal. And this angle must be equal to this angle. But, well, this angle is equal to this angle in the same segment. Don't you agree? And we are done. And that's all about this video. And so, well, I believe that this was a fairly beautiful and lovely problem if you give it some thought that what the problem could look like and what the solution could look like. You would eventually arrive upon the conclusion. Well, I'm hoping that I'll take all these problems one by one as and when time permits. That's all.